Okay, let's start. So, last week we discussed about the sexual self, right? So today, this week, we will learn about material or the material self or economic self. Okay, now before we begin, let's try doing this debit card challenge. Okay, so let me read. A very wealthy person gave you a debit card and told you to use it as much as you want to make yourself happy. What are you going to do with it? Make a list of what you want to have. So thank you for your answers. Now, so as you can see, our discussion today is about the material self or economic self, diba? Because we're living in a world of sale, shopping spree. We're given array of products to purchase, from simple set of spoon or fork to owning a restaurant, a car, or a house. So almost everywhere, even in the digital space, we can find product purchases, promotions, right? And advertisements are very suggestive of making us feel better or look good. Especially nowadays, digital marketing. You are browsing your social media, right? You're reading Twitter accounts. Suddenly digital marketing will pop out, right? So it's trying to persuade you to buy the products. Okay, so when you buy something or when you see something in advertisements, it suggests what will make or how will you look when you buy this product, and somehow it makes you give the feeling of how will you feel if you buy that product as well. And of course, if you see such advertisements, part of you wants to have that product, right? Now, what makes us want to have those products? Is it connected with who we are, what we want to have, and uh, I mean, what we already have? Does it mean, does it show what we are? So sabi ng isang psychologist, we regard our possessions as part of ourselves. We are what we have and what we possess. So today we're going to link the self-identity with what we have and what we possess, or the things that we want to have and possess. Okay, so it is a connection. It's a connection of another aspect of ourself, which is what we call again the material self. So look at your answers. Okay, so does it define yourself? John Jarrell, Air Jordan 1 Dior collaboration. So that's a very expensive rubber shoes. See? Kathleen prioritized life insurance. Bessie Ray likes to have a car and house and lot. Jobert wants to have a mansion. Angelica, very simple. She just wants to eat in a restaurant, buy clothes, and get a condominium. What about Paolo? I'm so curious. He like to have a gym. Okay, so you see, you ask yourself, based on your answers, examine yourselves. Does it reflect your material self? All right. So, according to the psychologist William James, I know you're familiar with that name already. In his book Principles of Psychology, he mentioned that, or he described that the material self or economic self has many components, such as the constituents, the feelings and emotions that arouse, your self feelings, and the actions to which they prompt. Self seeking and self preservation. So let's go over with it. Okay, what are these components of the material or economic self? Okay, but before that, let me just ask you. Resume recording. Okay, So again, let's go for this is a very understandable lesson again. So like the previous lessons about the physical self and sexual self. So the material economic self, very understandable, very simple din. No? Kasi talagang makaka-relate kayo dito. So let's discuss what are those components, okay? The constituents, the feelings and emotions that arouse your self feelings when you acquire something, and the actions to which you the actions that you do, okay? When you seek something, when you want something, okay? And then once you have that something, how do you take care of it? How do you self-preserve it and others? Okay, let's discuss. So the constituents, okay? So the material self, according to James, primarily is about our bodies, okay? About our clothes, about immediate family and home. So meron nga tayong tinatawag na ganito. Ito yung imminent diagram of the self, okay? So the innermost part of our material self is our body. Okay, so intentionally, we are investing in our body. We are directly attached to this commodity that we cannot live without. So we strive really hard to make sure that this body functions well and good. Example, any disorder, any kind of ailment directly affects us, right? So our body, we have a certain attachment or intimate closeness to certain parts or to our body parts, and it has such a big value to us, right? Our body. Now, there are also people who get their certain body parts insured. If not body parts, your whole body. Like Kathleen, life insurance, di ba? So, life body actually is just the same. You are investing on your body. So, Kathleen prioritize it. There are also certain people who are, as I have said a while ago, investing, insuring certain parts of their body. Do you know Mariah Carey? So sabi si Mariah Carey, she invested a huge amount for the insurance of her vocal cords and legs. So see? So it can be specific pala, insurance, no? You can insure it. So because you are investing much on that body part. And it has a certain value, especially to Mariah Carey. I think she has good legs. Of course, her vocal cords is her bread and butter. Okay. So next to our body are the clothes that we use. So sabi ni William James, clothing is an essential part of the material self. So anything or anytime we bring an object into the surface of our body, we invest that object into the consciousness of our personal existence. We're making it part of ourself. The fabric, the style of the clothes we wear, it brings sensations to the body. And those sensations directly affect our attitudes and behavior. If you're wearing good clothes, nice clothes, expensive clothes, or simple clothes, or the shade, your favorite shade, you're wearing your favorite shade, it gives you a nice feeling. It affects your behavior. Thus, clothes are placed in the second hierarchy of your material self. So, clothing is a form of self-expression. We choose and wear clothes that reflect ourselves. Do you agree? Third, in the hierarchy is the immediate family. So our parents, siblings, they have another great important part of ourself. What they do or become affects us. For example, when an immediate family dies, part of our self dies too. When their lives are in success, we feel their victories. Diba? Minsan nga mas masaya ka pa. As if we're the one holding the trophy. Well, in times of failures of a family member or an immediate family member, we're the one who feels ashamed, we feel guilt, and if they are in a disadvantaged situation, we have this urgent feeling to help, like a voluntary instinct, right? That's how we do it with our immediate family. So we also invest. We also place huge investment in our immediate family. Why? Because we see them as the nearest replica of ourselves. Okay? So that's the third one in the hierarchy. Now, what is the fourth one? Fourth component? So the fourth one, or the fourth component of the material self, is our home. Okay? So home is where our heart is. Naririnig niyo na yun, right? Why? Why home is where our heart is? Because it is the earliest nest of our selfhood. All your experiences inside your home were recorded and marked on particular parts and things in our home or in your home. Di ba meron yung cliche, meron ang kasabihan, di ba, na if only walls can speak. Kasi yan ang naka-witness to everything. To all the memories, to all the experiences, to all the happening inside those four walls. So the home is another extension of yourself because we can directly connect ourselves. Okay, now having investment of self to things made us attach to those things. So the more investment of self given to the particular thing, the more we identify ourselves to it. We also tend to collect and possess properties, and this kind of collections, investment of self becomes part of yourself. So again, according to William James, another thing that he said is a man's self is the sum total of all what he can call his. Sulat natin. A man's self, this is according to William James, is the sum total of all what he can call his. So meaning to say possessions then become part or an extension of the self. Question? All right, so just to further clarify everything about the material self, so we also have Russell Belk. So according to Russell Belk, we regard our possessions as part of ourselves We are what we have and what we possess. So similar with what William James is describing or saying. Okay. So what about this one? So sabi nga ni Russell, balikan ko lang. We regard our possessions as part of ourselves. We are what we have and what we possess. So the identification of the self to things started even during our infancy stage, when we make a distinction about yourself and the environment and others who may desire our possessions. And then as we grow older, putting importance to material possession decreases. Diba? Medyo nagde-decline yan. However, material possessions gains higher value in our lifetime if we use material possessions to find happiness. We associate things with significant events, with accomplishments and people in our lives. There are even times that material possessions of a person is closely identified to the person or to other person, especially if the person passed away already. 'Di ba? Example, ayan. Halimbawa, yung dining room, dining chair. Sometimes you can recall, the dining room or the dining chair reminds you of your late grandma. That's how you value it. It constantly reminds you of the person who's always seated there, di ba? Even vehicles, well-loved kept vehicles of the person. So sometimes it's hard for you to let go of it. So for example, it's the first prized possession of your late dad. So it's hard for the family to let go of that vehicle because they identify the owner who passed away with that vehicle. Sometimes even the books, the simple possessions like books, right? Clothes, the pets, you still put high value on them because you value the person who owned it. And these material possessions symbolizes also the owner. These are their favorite things, diba? These are their very first investments. This is uh this is the one that we first bought when we get married. Okay, this is what my grandma gave me when I was still small. So even material things has meaning, right? Sometimes it has meaning. Most of the time, may meaning, may symbols. Okay? So sabi nga, the possessions that we dearly have, it tells you something about who we are. What is your self-concept, even your past, and even your future. Do you want to share what is your most prized possession right now? So some of you are still teenagers. Me, I don't know if some of you are working already. But right now, if there's one thing that you can only bring, for example, it's the end of the world. If there's only one material thing that you can bring along with you, what would it be?